Hi, I'm Kabira, and I want to talk to you about the voice in our head that almost feels like a demon when we have anorexia. A little about me, I had anorexia and bulimia for about 20 years, and a few months in, I was already very underweight. I remember writing a poem, and I felt very split, like there was me and there was this other being that was like holding me back. And I would have visions of this other being. And I remember one time when the rare occasion when I ate a lot, because there's so many ways to have an eating disorder, and you're really hungry, and at some point, I binged a lot, and I wanted to purge. And I remember, instead of, because at that point I was committed to healing, and it takes a bit to actually get to that place where it's like, I want to heal, right? Like, let's admit, for those of us who have eating disorders, like, there's a part of us that there's a comfort in it. That's one of the reasons why we regress. Like, there's a dark familiarity in it that provides comfort. And I remember it was one of those moments where I was like, I don't want this anymore. And suddenly getting this vision of this demon that was living inside of me, that was always talking at me, always telling me how fat I was, how horrible I was, what a piece of shit I was, like really harsh language. And it was nonstop. There was never fucking space with this language. And I remember it was almost like I just wanted to take my hand inside myself and pull it out. And so that's what I did. I actually took I grabbed like the closest thing that I could draw on. And then I found like all this red and black paint, and I drew the most horrid looking thing. Like, I am going to exercise this out. And I didn't know. I thought I was the only one that felt like I had these dark voices inside of me. And in part of my healing process, I really got into the energetic world. I trained in shamanic practices, and that's where I kind of learned about things called entities. And I want to be really clear that I'm not actually saying that like you've got this entity in you. But what became really interesting is that, stay with me for a moment, whatever we're having happening in our life will have the same vibration reflection in our physical field reality, also our mental and emotional world as well. So there was a way that I was bullying myself. There was a way that this horrible voice, I mean, I don't have this voice anymore, but there was this horrible voice that was so like in my brain all the time, where I actually thought it was me, but there was a little part of me that was like, I know it's not me, but I can't get this thing away. And then it was like, but also my whole life felt horrible. It wasn't like I had a really nice life and this like not great, just this horrible voice. Like, that voice permeated my entire life. So there was no way out, and it was really hard to break through, to find, like, even when you want to heal, because I'm going to repeat myself, it takes a lot. There will be a time period where you actually don't want to heal. I remember when I regressed one time, this shamanic therapist I was working with was like trying to get me to heal. And I was like, no, I'm not buying it. My life right now feels too stressful. The comfort of being able to just boil everything down to not eating, losing weight, exercise, like, let's just keep it simple. I only have 3 things that matter in my life, really just one. How small can I get? That's all that matters. And that way I can ignore everything else. And so it is like, we want to learn, but we don't know how. Like, can you show me a different way that actually is more effective? And I don't know about you, but like, it gets painful. There will be a point where the pain starts to outweigh what we're getting out of this. And yet it's not always, you're not going to be like, at least I wasn't, and the people that I work with aren't, like, it's not like you're going to be 100% like, let's heal. Like, it's going to feel hard. It's going to feel so hard to break out of it. And it's the harder thing about it too, is that you're going to have that voice that is going to be in your ear, like this dark, deep, demonic coach that's constantly telling you, like, you don't deserve that, you know, and don't eat that, and you're already a fat ass, and it's gonna wake you up in the middle of the night. And even when you're like okay, I'm gonna eat now, it's relentless. And the challenge, going back to energy field, is that you're also gonna have potentially that quality of voice showing up in other parts of your life. Like, I noticed that at that time, there were certain people, like my college roommate and like random dudes that I would meet who, and I was obviously severely underweight, who would come up to me and tell me how fat I was, you know? And I would, I remember I would smoke a joint to like bypass my fear of food. Like, I mean, we try everything. I'm not promoting smoking weed as part of healing. But you know, I did. And I remember I would come into the dorm room, and my roommate would look at me and just be like, oh, you know, if you eat more of those gummy bears, you're just going to get so fat, you know? And it's just so easy to get triggered, because we already think we're fat. We already think we can't see ourselves. And that's going to be the hardest thing too, is that when you're healing, I just want you to know that you don't yet see yourself. You're going to look in the mirror and you're going to see someone very different. I remember having put just a tiny bit of weight on and trying to go clothes shopping and being so upset because I went from like a size baggy 0 to like a size 2. And what I saw in the mirror was like a 400-pound woman. And I'm not fat shaming. I'm just saying, like, you know, what I was seeing instead. I wasn't seeing myself. I was seeing like huge things of cellulite everywhere. And just, to me, it was disgusting and horrible, because I believed how disgusting I was. And no one could prove me otherwise. There was nobody who could ever say the right thing. And if you're watching this and you're trying to figure out how to support someone with an eating disorder, like, just don't make comments about appearance, because we're going to always twist it around. You know, if you tell us we look healthy, we're like, you're saying we look fat. You know, oh, you look well, you're saying we look fat. You know, like, you can say, just talk about some other things, like, I love the color of your shirt, or like, wow, your eyes are sparkling. Like, that can be an appearance thing, talking about someone's energy in a positive way. But do not, like, just no comments on someone's physical appearance, because we're gonna twist it no matter what. So you need to know that if you're in this process of healing, it's like you're in this new normal, okay? And the weight gain's gonna feel awkward. I remember being like, what is this ass? Like, I did not know what to do with this butt that was emerging. I went from no butt to like Brazilian bubble butt, right? Like, that's my natural state. But the no butt, like, just having weight was just weird. My thighs, and you're going to, like, it's going to be so dramatic in your head. You're not going to see yourself. And I remember, again, I'm not promoting, I actually, if you ever trained with me, you'll know that grounding is like my number one thing in how to heal. So, you know, when I'm talking about, you know, I was 17, 18, when I'm talking about these various plant medicines and drugs that I took, I am not promoting this as your way to heal, just to be very clear. But I was 17 years old, and I remember my friend gave me my first hit of acid, and I was so out of touch with myself and so out of touch with my body. You know, literally not in my body. And if you have an eating disorder, you're not in your body. You know, if you're at that level of self-harm and self-denial, you're not in your body. You're going to get in your body, but you're not right now in your body when you're at that place. So it was interesting, because usually taking drugs like takes you really out of your body. But for some reason, it was like, I remember taking that hit of acid, and then about an hour later, going into my parents' bedroom, no one was home, and seeing myself in the mirror. And I could actually see myself as bones. And I cried because I didn't know that that's actually what I looked like. It was like this moment of truth where something was like, we're going to show you what you really look like right now. And it wasn't enough to make a change, but it was enough for me to realize for that moment in time, wow, I'm really harming myself. And I remember just like running my fingers across my bones and just being in awe, like, how did I get here? And I'm going to tell you this. I really hope you can heal because I know the pain. And I never thought I would heal. And there will be moments when you kind of come home to yourself and you're like, oh my God, where have I been this whole time? It for me, it was a little bit shocking. And this healing is worth it. So just know that I know your fear will be, I'll become this big fat ass. You actually can't think beyond your weight right now, right? But one, there is a real possibility that you can love your body. And that was my fear because I met a lot of recovered anorexics and I'm like, yeah, you're like the proper weight, but you're still secretly dieting or like hating on your body. And I was like, I don't, you know what? I'd rather be skinny. So I just want to say, I never thought I would love my body. Okay. So I just want to say that. I never thought the voice would go away. And you need to know that that's possible. It will go from like crazy, truly demonic, torturous voice. Like that person would be, put in prison if they were like a real person. It goes from that to there will be spaces between, like the voice will like shut up sometimes. And then it will be this undercurrent whisper. And then at some point you're going to be like, where'd the voice go? It's not automatic. It took a long while. I know for some people, they're like, no, I still have the voice. That voice is gone. Now, if you don't have an eating disorder, I think, we all have like nasty voices inside of us, so I'm not just saying this is an anorectic thing, but if you have anorexia, and it is for some bulimics as well, it's a level of like harsh voice that I've never seen elsewhere. That voice, you do have a choice to get rid of that voice. You do have a choice to get rid of that voice. But to get rid of this voice, you have to put weight on. This voice is dependent upon you being underweight. Just like, I don't know how your period is right now, but usually at some point we'll lose our period. And one thing I had to learn was that even if I went under a certain weight, my period would go away. Also, if I went under a certain weight, my thinking would go back to my anorexia and to my bulimia. And it's not, you'll think, oh, you know what? Like my weight, I can lose a little bit of weight. I'm surprised because it's still like a healthy weight, according to BMI, whatever. Like it's a lower healthy weight, but it may be too low for you. There's going to be a trigger weight for you, and you got to watch out for that one because it will just put you back in that mentality. And, if you get sick, sometimes we lose weight when we get sick, it will throw you back in that mentality. So when you're healing, this is the one thing you got to watch out for in terms of your regression is that you're going to get triggered and maybe you get stressed out. Maybe you eat a little less. Maybe you start restricting. The voice will get stronger. Your period will probably, get a little messed up again. So you do need to keep a healthy weight. And the final trick with this too is who do you hang out with? Do not hang out with other people who are jealous of your eating disorder. It sounds fucked up because it's like you're in pain, but we also know that as women, we all compete with one another. Like, let's just put it on the table. We need to learn to support one another, but there is that competition we do. Who's the skinniest girl? And there's a lot of hidden eating disorders where we're all secretly competing. That's not gonna keep you healthy. So what kind of friends support you? I actually had to find new friends. And what was really helpful is because this is something that we do in secret, I want you to find friends where you can be honest about, I'm trying to learn how to eat. And a friend who loves her body, loves food, and really has a great relationship, does not diet. Like just is like really into the pleasure, the texture, the ambiance. Like I had a friend where she just loved going out to eat for restaurants. We would dress up. It was an event. And she would never like talk to me or like look at me weird. But there was a way that I felt comfortable where I could even say, like I want to eat, but I don't want to eat. Or, okay, I haven't actually eaten all day because I'm trying to save up room for this restaurant meal. Like I'm stressed out and I don't want to take any calories on. Or she could look at me and be like, I think you're a little hangry, and it's okay to have something. You need to have someone where you can be honest about it and where they're not going to be judgmental. They're just going to listen to you. They're not going to be pushing you. They're not going to be like, why aren't you eating? Like they're just going to let you do your little thing because we have lots of games. In the beginning, you're going to be like, I'm going to eat, but I'm going to try to find everything that's low calorie, and it's fucked up things that we eat. Like I never realized how weird I was until other people started getting around me. So, find a good friend that you can eat with. The other thing that really is helpful is that, and it's going to be hard if you're in high school, but find like new friends, new environments to eat. So I remember I joined this Zen Buddhist group and they like loved their potlucks. And I just didn't tell anyone I had an eating disorder. I mean, it was pretty obvious if you looked at me. But like for those of us you can dress in a way that you hide things. And so I just decided to eat like a normal person with them. And so actually like with them, I always ate in a healthy way. So we kind of want like, because what can be tough is you've got your old friends and family who kind of like now look at you like, now you've got your anorexia. And so they're always kind of looking at you like anorexia. And that's not going to help you. So it is like, I remember going to college. That's why I could actually heal, was that I just pretended to be a really athletic person with a high metabolism. And I just would sit and eat in the dorm and I just decided to like act like I was normal. So that can be another trick for you. But just as a reminder, like that voice is real and you can, be artistic about it. Do poems, draw her or him, write about him, do music. But like, don't let that voice be that voice that lives in you forever. Also because you don't want that voice to be showing up in other aspects of your life. Like I dated some huge assholes when that voice was alive. Okay. Like it's going to be hard to have. You're not going to be creating a loving, empowered life with that kind of voice in your head. So remember that that's why it's important that you actually do get your weight up. And that's going to sound scary and weird, but my biggest encouragement to you is like, go clothes shopping, buy new clothes that you feel pretty in. Cause it's like, it's not going to be fun to try to like fit into those clothes anyway. And it's old energy. You're moving on. And I know this is a long video, but the final thing I'll say, what matters to you? Get your vision. That will be the biggest thing that heals you. So for me, I just decided randomly, I'm going to go live in West Africa. I'd never been there. I knew nothing about it. But when I enrolled in college, I decided that African studies was going to be one of my things. And I was going to go live abroad in West Africa. And I started studying Hausa, the Hausa language. I literally knew nothing about it. But I knew it was going to be I've now having visited many countries in Africa, fucking amazing. Like my heart is there. If you ever get a chance, it's the most beautiful, rich, challenged. Every country is so distinct. But I knew it was going to be tough. So I couldn't show up underweight. No one was going to let me be on the plane anyway. So I knew I had to have a certain weight on to be even allowed to go. And then a certain resilience to be able to handle and explore there. And so that was what got me through, because anytime I would want to go purge, I would look in the mirror, on the way to the toilet, and just look at myself and be like, remember Africa, remember you're going to Niger, remember your goal. And when I would be sitting in front of like a plate of food for 2 hours because I didn't want to eat, because it's hard, that you're going to want to eat and not eat at the same time. It's the biggest challenge. And people who don't have eating disorders don't get it, why you can't just eat. Okay. Like I know it. Okay. So you've got to have something that can cut through and be like, remember Africa. And, and I'll admit, by the time it was time for me to go to Africa, I was like, shit, like I actually got my goal, because I just wanted to be healed enough to be able to go. I didn't really care about going, but that adventure was a whole different adventure. So, what is something that you need, that you really want in your life, that you would need to be healthy for? When I regressed, what I would do was I would create a really hard training that I needed to teach, that I had to be totally on for, so that I wouldn't want to starve myself or play any of my games. So you want something where it's like your healthiest self, your best self needs to show up for it. So I hope this helps. Message me if you have questions. But I know it's really challenging, especially in the beginning. I definitely did not think I would get through. I never thought I would be here. And I'm telling you this because I looked for someone else that actually healed. I fucking did it. So that's why I'm making this video, because I know you can heal too. Stay committed. Even when there's tough days, even when you regress, you can heal. Sending love.